Hey there, I'm going to start this video by showing you guys something stupid right away, because I want you to believe that this title isn't clickbait, because it's absolutely not. This is a 50-50 using Master Roshi's assist. The nerfed, actually buffed Master Roshi assist. Alright, I just got a block high. No, okay, I'm going to get hit low. Well, that's alright, I know I can reflect this assist now, right? Yeah, oh, okay, hold on. Wait, let's reflect and mash, that'll work. Oh, no, it doesn't work. Well, let's reflect and jump away. That should be fine. Oh, I can't reflect and jump away either. Okay, okay. All right, hold up. But if reflect isn't working on its own, let's just reflect into hard tag. That's a great option that just always wins scrambles whenever you can get the reflect off. So let's see if that works. Well, actually, no. It's actually super easy to snipe the hard tag in this situation because Master Roshi kind of blocks the way and gives you so much extra time to react. So I can actually whiff my crouch light here and still anti-air. I can actually go for my air dash overhead and still anti-air, even a super fast hard tag like Master Roshi's. Okay, new idea. We're gonna double reflect it. Okay, new idea. We're gonna triple once you get to a point where your answer to something is double reflect or triple reflect, you don't have a good answer to that situation. Sometimes you have to do it, but if your answer to a situation is something as incredibly specific and risky as double reflect, at that point you are being way too risky and way too specific to the situation, and you're not actually dealing with the situation properly. And it definitely goes to show how bad a situation is if your answer to it is something as specific and risky as a double or triple reflect. By the way, this works with like every character that has a low 2L. I'm using Ultra Instinct Goku as an example here because we've seen this mix-up with Kid Buu assist so much that we are all very used to seeing it. We know this is very strong. You don't need me to tell you that something that looks like this is a 50-50. But the same idea is going to work with a ton of characters, just like Kid Buu's A assist works with a ton of characters. Except Master Roshi's assist is going to actually win you neutral, win you scrambles, work amazingly for combos, and give you even better 50-50s in the corner than Kid Buu's assist does. So we're going to talk about all that today. But wait, there's more. So this assist will mix up Goichi. This is a very real mix-up with a very real, very good assist. I still think Master Roshi is probably the best assist in the whole game, and my opinion of it has actually improved since that last video. So even though what we've shown here covers a lot of defensive options and looks like a very good 50-50, we still don't want to have to deal with those options at all. We don't want to have to deal with the reflect. We don't want to have to deal with a reversal or a reflect into hard tag. Even if we have good options for those, let's just say we don't want to deal with them at all. So in this video, we're going to really quickly mention why you shouldn't have to worry about that too much and what you can do to completely discourage someone from wanting to use reversal options at all. And we're going to build on what we talked about last video. So last time, basically in part 1, we were talking about how this assist was not nerfed as much as you think and how it was still a very, very good assist. And we even showed some applications on how it is still an amazing top tier 50-50 monster of an assist if you can get the opponent in the corner. This video, we're going to kind of touch on that a little more, but we're going to talk about why this is a top tier mix-up assist mid-screen for most of the cast, not specifically Ultra Instinct Goku. We're using him because we're used to seeing 50-50s with him. If you've watched Cloud 805 or Nitro participate, both of them very, very well in the national finals on the west side and the east side of the US, you're used to seeing this. And this is going to work with a vast majority of the cast as well. So Master Roshi is going to give most characters a 50-50 in the corner and mid-screen. Before we move on explaining this any further, you might be wondering why the opponent doesn't just reflect every time or backdash every time. You've probably heard that there are guaranteed escapes to this assist now, and there are not guaranteed escapes to this assist. It is incredibly easy to bait those options, and it is incredibly easy to maintain a mix-up even while you are baiting those options, although maybe not as good as the 50-50 I just showed. So you occasionally bait those options and get a normal mix-up, and you occasionally go for a 50-50, assuming that they don't disrespect you. But even if they do disrespect you, as I showed at the first part of this video, you can still get your mix-up or cover a lot of options anyway. So the last video, part 1, was all about covering those options, but I'm just going to give you a super quick rundown on how to deal with that. People seem to think that you can fight your way out of Master Roshi assist guaranteed every single time, and they're going to mostly do that with a reflect, or they're going to do it with a backdash. And these will both get you out, if the other person does nothing, but we're not going to be doing nothing. Okay, the two easiest ways to bait this and still maintain your turn is to just go low in that gap. And you'll see that we are filling the gap, so there's never a gap anymore. If we want to reflect or backdash, we have to stand up and hit back, right? So back and key blast to stand up, or double back to get backdash. If I stand up to try and reflect Master Roshi here, I will get clipped low. If I stand up to backdash here, I will get clipped low. And if we do this, we can visually confirm that it was blocked or hit, and we are going to be super plus depending on how well you time your 2L. So let's say we do it here. We're plus 14. We could still go for an IED, we could still go for Dragon Rush, we could still just maintain our pressure afterwards. We are not giving up our mix-up entirely just because we're baiting a defensive option. That's not how this works. We are actually maintaining pressure, baiting a defensive option, and still getting a normal mix-up instead of the 50-50. The other easy way to bait these defensive options is to just cross up over the opponent. Just quickly instant air dash over them just like this, and now if I want to reflect Master Roshi, I'm now reflecting the wrong way, because if I was hitting back and key blast, now I'm getting forward and key blast, and I'm going to get hit by him if I try to do that. Can't do it. Doesn't work. And just like if we went low to bait out these defensive options, if we were to instant air dash over the opponent to mess up their inputs, we will still be able to get a mix-up. Just a super quick, easy example here. There you go. So the way you can look at this when you use Master Roshi Assist in this fashion, regardless of what character you're using, you will either bait their defensive options, their reflect and their backdash, by either screwing up their inputs or clipping them for standing up by going low, and you will still have a simple mix-up afterwards, or you go for this 50-50 that is incredibly hard to deal with. Even if they try to disrespect you, it is just so difficult to get away. So oversimplifying the takeaway from this video, those are your two options. Bait the defensive options and get a basic mix-up, or go for the 50-50. Now let's talk about how this 50-50 works and why it works now when it didn't work before. And to explain that, I'm gonna have to use math. But wait, don't go, don't freak out. It's okay. I'm gonna explain this in a way that a second grader could understand, because all we have to use is addition, I promise. Previously, Master Roshi's assist was plus 46 on block, 46 frames from start to finish where you had to mix up the opponent. Now it doesn't work that way. Now you have 25 frames of block stun twice, with a 5-frame gap in between. It might be a 6-frame gap, but I'm pretty sure it's a 5-frame gap. So 25 plus 5 plus 25 is going to be 55 frames from start to finish. If it's a 6-frame gap and not a 5-frame gap, like I think. If I'm off by 1, then it's probably actually 56 frames. So once again, that's 25 frames of block stun, then a 5-frame gap, and then 25 more frames of block stun. Put that all together, you're at 55 frames from start to finish. That is super close to Kid Buu's A assist, which is 58 frames of block stun. I think if it hits some crouching, sometimes it's 59 frames, but either way. This is the highest block stun assist for mix-up in the entire game. This is the gold standard for 50-50s, but it's really only useful for 50-50s, yet it's considered one of the best assists in the whole game. Master Roshi's B assist is useful for everything, from combos to neutral to scrambles. It has massive minimum hit stun, it's super easy to use, and it now has enough duration from start to finish to actually be useful for these super good mix-ups. Alright, so now let's actually talk about how this mix-up is working. I'm not going to explain why the opponent isn't disrespecting us in the middle of this mix-up anymore, because I think I've shown that it's very hard to do so, and as long as you don't only go for the 50-50, you will be blowing people up for trying to actually disrespect you there. So from now on, we're going to go on the assumption that they don't disrespect us, and we're just going to talk about the 50-50 itself. All we're trying to do is be slightly negative next to the opponent. In Ultra Instinct Goku's case, his standing medium is -5. We then just try to time the Master Roshi assist at the very end of that block stun so that it is gapless leading up to the first hit of Master Roshi. And then we're going to go for our mix-up. And all that mix-up is we are going to super jump forward, and then we're going to fast fall by holding down forward, okay? So let's turn on our inputs here. So you can see what I'm doing at the bottom left, and it's literally just down forward, up forward really fast to get a super jump, and then back to down forward. So down forward, up forward, down forward really fast. That'll get us over the opponent and close to the ground as fast as possible. And then when we get to this point, we either air dash for an overhead, which will actually cross up if you do it at a certain height, or you just land and go low. And that's it. Okie dokie, and that's basically all we're trying to do here. This will work for most characters, especially if they have a faster low. So anyone who has a low 2L, this is going to be very good for. Anyone that has a reasonable speed crouch medium, it's still probably decent. And you don't have to be Ultra Instinct Goku to set this up. Like I mentioned, he's -5, relatively close to the opponent here. Most special moves are actually -5. Or actually, apparently in Gotenks' case, his is only -2. Let's take a look at Gotenks really quick, just because he won the Japanese finals. Kazunoko did an amazing job. He was playing these two characters together. Actually, this was exactly his team now that I look at it. And Gotenks has a bunch of moves that are better than -5. His 5L is only -3, his 2L is only -4, his rush punches, his regular light ones are -2. So you could just use rush punch and then set this up. You could do this really easily from all these tools. Even his medium's only -6, that might work. Crouch medium is -7, probably won't work. So in Gotenks' case, maybe we would use stand jab. Maybe we would just use rush punch. And let's see if we can get this. Yep, and now you're going to eat some Ghost Oki. And the same thing applies as before, where if we want to make sure that we don't have to worry about these defensive options once in a while, let's instant air dash over them and mess up their inputs. And if we happen to see that they blocked, we are still super plus in this situation, more than +20, and we could go for another air dash, we could go for Dragon Rush, whatever. Or let's just go low and then take our plus frames after that if we saw that they didn't get hit. What about if we're in the corner though? I'm gonna turn off the virtual controller because these things are distracting for me. If we're in the corner, we still have access to the 50-50 we talked about in the previous video. In fact, in the corner, we could still just do what we talked about, but then we lose one of our options for baiting their defensive options because we can't cross over them to mess up their inputs. If we instant air dash, we're still gonna stay on the same side. So that means if we want to bait their defensive options, all we can do is use the low. So we actually have a much better option in the corner that we talked about in the previous video, which is literally just hit stand medium and hit Roshi at the same time. And then you are going to super dash and then do a high-low 50-50 from there. And you can see that this is, in fact, a true block string. We set them to guard first only, meaning if there's a gap at any point, they will get hit. There is no gap. We can do this entirely gapless into a low. Even a character like Baby, who does not have a super fast low, only an 11 frame low, can still 50-50 you here. Because the 50-50 doesn't need to be high-low, the 50-50 could be left-right. So let's say, let's use 2L, his crouch light, because it's only -4. Remember, Ultra Instinct Goku worked with -5. So let's do crouch light plus Master Roshi assist and see if we can do the same thing. Yes, we can. So he could do low same side, or he could do cross-up overhead. These are like literally polar opposites for mix-up, and these are going to work to be a pretty good mix-up, even if you could maybe try to argue this isn't a 50-50. It looks like a 50-50 to me. It's going to work. It's going to hit people. The only thing that stinks for a character that has a slower crouch light, doesn't have a fast 2L like most characters do, is that the corner version isn't going to be as good. That was still actually a true block string, although it might be a little hard to get the true block string every time. But because this is a little bit slower, the high-low mix-up isn't going to be as good. Technically not a 50-50 at that point, but it's still pretty decent. Anyone with an actual fast crouch light is going to be 50-50ing you with this assist everywhere on the screen. Which is actually not something Master Roshi did much in the past, because like we mentioned before, the total amount of time you had to mix up the opponent was only 46 frames in the past. Now it's 55 from start to finish, which definitely makes things a lot better for a lot of mix-ups. Now, I do want to address one elephant in the room. I don't want to act like this is strictly a buff in every single case, because there are characters that preferred the old Roshi assist. There were some characters that got 50-50s everywhere on the screen with the old assist. They were pretty few and far between, but there were some characters that got that, like Base Vegeta, who were able to just use, and obviously I can't show it anymore because the assist did change, but before they could do something like Rocket Kick plus assist with a crouch heavy in the air, and now they're in a perfect spot right above the ground where they could air dash for an overhead or land and go low. Obviously this was super strong. I'm pretty sure this worked mid-screen if you got the timing right with the assist before, and that was definitely some very good synergy between these two characters. Although I think most of these characters have other methods of getting 50-50s, like doing Destructo Disc into high-low and just using an assist to fill the gap. So I don't think they're really suffering losing that, but it does obviously suck when you lose some really big synergy like that. So it's not strictly a buff in every character's case, although even these characters are going to have access to this kind of mix-up too, although you probably want to put some thought into what move you want to be using to set up these kinds of mix-ups. Every character is going to be a little bit different. In some characters' case, it could be a special. In some characters' case, it could be a normal. One thing I will say that's really nice about using normals instead of specials to set up the Master Roshi mix-up mid-screen is that if someone properly guesses a time to guard cancel when you cancel into your special, then they can get out. But if you use normals, then you'll probably just be able to block in time, and even if you couldn't block in time, depending on your character, you could still cancel into an anti-air to save yourself. And this would be really nice for characters like maybe Android 16. Oh my god, can Android 16 do this too? I need to lab that. Give Android 16 a 50-50, he deserves it. I mean a normal 50-50, not a command grab. I don't know if his frame data is quite good enough to really like set this up, is it? Crouch Light's only 8 frame startup, so he probably can actually do this pretty well. Well, his Crouch Light's only -4, and his Stand Medium's only -6, so I'm pretty sure one of these is going to be a decent option. Although it looks like in Android 16's case, he's going to stay on the same side more often than not. And you'll just air dash forward if you want to get a cross-up overhead. This is why we lab stuff, so you can make sure you get the muscle memory down before you do it in a match. Alright, I think I've rambled about this assist enough. I think the direction for this video was a little all over the place just because I want to cover as much random information that might be relevant to why this works and what you need to cover to make sure that it works properly. But I hope I made the point that this assist is actually super, super good for mix-ups now, even for characters where it wasn't as good before. Before, a lot of characters were probably only getting the reactable kind of mix-ups mid-screen, or they would have to do stuff like same side super dash, or cross-up, or, you know, Dragon Rush, whatever. Just the normal stuff, because there wasn't enough duration of the assist to actually give you true 50-50s mid-screen for most characters. So now that he can do that, and can mid-screen now probably force a player like Goichi to actually feel like they have to take risks and fight their way out, even though those risks are not super good and can be baited very easily and called out super easily, even someone like Goichi is going to get opened up by this. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So to me, the Master Roshi B assist change is actually more of a buff than a nerf. And even if I haven't convinced you to completely agree with me, I hope I've done enough to convince you that this assist is still super good. And if you want to play Master Roshi and you like Master Roshi, you've been interested in him, or you've been maining him this whole time, you don't need to stop playing him. He did not get nerfed into the ground. It's still an excellent assist. He's still an excellent character. Play who you want to play. This game lets you do that. Well, I hope you guys found this interesting. We'll be covering plenty more Dragon Ball FighterZ on the channel soon, so if you are interested in continuing to learn the game with me, please consider subscribing to the channel. We also have a Discord now if you want to hang out in there with a community of people who are all having a good time, improving at the game together. There's plenty more on the way soon. Thanks for watching.